Cashplannr is a full automatic cash flow forecasting solutions. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi.
That enables entrepreneurs to do business without any financial surprise, stimulate the impact before they take decisions, and get the proactive insights they need to adjust where needed. Again, fresh guys. Good. Good. Yeah. It feels good to be here, no?
Feels
It
great.
does.
All right, all right. A bit nervous, or it's okay?
It's okay.
Now it's going okay. As you've heard, we have a strong jury, good questions. So you know the system. You have a max of 10 minutes of presenting, and then we will have 20 minutes of Q&As.
All right.
Great.
All right.
Perfect. Looking forward.
Okay, Thomas and Dylan. No, we're talking about Thomas and Dylan of Cashplannr. Guys, here you go.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Thomas, this is Dylan. And today we want to tell you about Cashplannr, how we started it, why we started it, for who we are building it, and how we are going to reach these people. Before we start, I would like to introduce ourselves. I met Dylan at the beginning of this year while I was looking for a co-founder. And I met him and he said, I can help you. I can help you reach your target audience. And I said, that's a great idea because I don't know how. I'm a product guy, he's a business guy. He breeds SaaS, comes from team leader and Intro, and I have been a software developer for the past 10 years. So this is us today, and we built Cashplannr together, and we're going to make this happen. So as I became an entrepreneur some 15 years ago, I made a lot of mistakes, and I learned that if you're navigating blindly as an entrepreneur, and you don't know where you're going to, that you get into trouble. And I got into trouble. I had a lot of financial worries. And at one moment, somebody told me, Thomas, you have to keep a cash forecast. So I learned what a cash forecast was. And afterwards, in a second career as a developer, I talked to a lot of other entrepreneurs about this cash forecast. And it appeared that I was not the only one with that problem. Everybody should use a cash forecast. So I identified a problem that most entrepreneurs navigate blindly. And if you go towards the accountant, he tells you, oh, everything is fine, you had a great year last year, but you don't know what's coming up for you. So then you try to keep a cash forecast yourself, but you notice it's way too time-consuming, and it's very error-prone. And you say, okay, but there's a lot of financial tools who probably can solve that. Well, we didn't find any tools that were built for us entrepreneurs. We found a lot of tools that were built for financial experts, but not for entrepreneurs. So we wrote the first code back in 2019. We founded Cashplannr the 1st January last year. We did the Brio trajectory, we did the Birdhouse traject, and we learned that we had to stop developing the product and start talking to our target audience. So we did that, we talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and we created a customer advisory board, which consisted of entrepreneurs, but also of financial people, accountants. Because you probably noticed it, we're not financial experts, not at all. So we needed them in our client advisory board. And with these people together, we launched the first version back in January of this year. And this first version was pretty impressive because in the first month, 75 people registered to our software. And we thought, we're ready, we're going to start selling now, but nobody bought it. And that's when we learned really what was needed. In the next 6 months, we very much identified the real problem and what was needed as a solution. We needed a fully automated solution. We needed an accurate cash flow forecast, but especially a full cash flow forecast, not only cost and income. I'll tell you about that later on. We needed something where people could simulate the impact of their decisions before taking the decision. So we created that. And all by itself, we needed a solution that gives proactive insights into our target audience. So that's what we created. And this summer, we launched our second version, which you see here, and it's Cashplannr, what it's like now. So this second version, what it does, what the value is, we take some data from accountants, we take some data from CRM, we take some data from the bank, and we make sure people don't have to lie awake about what's coming up for them financially. We do it all for them. They can create simulations. They get an automated forecast, and it's all done automatically. So with this version, we had immediate sales. We had our first. Right now, we had our first. I'm going a bit too fast. Let me tell you first about a competition. Dylan is going to talk about our audience. It might be that you think, are there not already other tools for cash flow forecasting? Well, there's a lot of financial tools. But we missed some tools that were built for the entrepreneur in a language that the entrepreneur can understand. So as you see on the south of the graph, you see probably a lot of names that you know, like Hemisphere, like Bright Analytics, like iController. But these are all tools that do quite a lot of things and are focused to financial experts. And if you look at the top side of the graph, you find Cashplannr there, fully automated for entrepreneurs. You also see EduCap and Float, which are targeting other segments in the market or other markets internationally. So that's why we think and we believe we are in a blue ocean.
So who are those entrepreneurs? So we did a couple of tests to identify the ICP or the low-hanging fruits in the market, and we definitely saw a match with B2B service companies that were selling projects. Why? Well, they need to actually pre-finance projects before they get the money on the bank. So they did it already quite intensely in Excel. So we came with Cashplannr, and they were very excited that we can do it automatically. We have, what is actually the value for them? Well, they can simulate the impact before they actually take decisions, like Thomas said, so they don't need to take any decisions based on gut feeling. You give them financial peace of mind, because entrepreneurs sometimes lay in bed or are sitting on the toilet or are standing in the elevator and thinking, what if I was hiring 2 new account executives? What if they were not on target within 6 months? So before they take the actual decision, they can simulate it in Cashplannr. They can optimize their growth, because not every entrepreneur sees the value of cash planning or keeping a cash flow forecast because they have enough money on the bank. Well, with Cashplannr, we want to show them what is actually needed to run the business and what is actually left to invest in growth, so that you can actually get the maximum out of your business. It's also time saving. We know that cash planning is not a daily activity, even though we want to promote it like it is, but it's not, so we keep it up to date for you guys. You get notifications, we give you proactive alerts right here in the pocket, see it as a CFO in a pocket, where you can actually adjust your direction if needed, if there is a potential dip in the future between 4-6 months, etc. So where are we now? We have 30 paying customers and 3 partnerships. Oh, it's 32 paying customers, 3 partnerships. It's already changed this week. So that's a good start. We see that we have a product market fit with the ICP. We give a small demo of 50 minutes. We start getting referrals from marketplaces such as Yuki, but also from Exact Online, which is great. And people are starting to talk about Cashplannr because it's very user-friendly and it's just plug and play. So what are we looking for? We are looking for 1 million euros, 500,000 euros in equity, and with additional resources from Vlaio, PMV, and bank loans. What do we want to do with that? Well, we want to focus on sales and marketing because we believe that we have a very scalable product, very easy to understand, and we want to address a lot of entrepreneurs, not only in Belgium, but also in the Netherlands and further abroad. But we also want to invest in product and infrastructure. So what is the plan? How we are going to scale this? Well, now we're all doing this based on outbound sales, targeting our low-hanging fruits in the market, but we really want to scale from an outbound strategy to a more inbound self-service approach for the SMBs, and we still want to remain the outbound strategy for targeting partnerships and accountants. But now we don't have a free trial, we don't address the full potential of the market, and we want to make it more self-serviced. How we want to do that? There's a lot of information on this slide, but I just want to focus on the 4 pillars. We want to focus directly at the same time on product, acquisition, activation, and retention. In the past, in previous startups, I saw that a lot of entrepreneurs, and also in my startups that I worked in, and that we are filling the bucket when it's actually leaking. So we really want to focus on the other pillars on the right side as well: acquisition, activation of a free trial, but also retention. So focus on customer success right away and talk with the customers to evolve the product right away. So what is the goal? We want to reach 500,000 ARR by next quarter, or by the second quarter of 2023. We want to focus on SMBs. The product is made by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, but we still keep, we left the door open for accountants. So we're partnering with accountants as well to actually approach the full market potential. So these are the goals, and we're ready to scale, so let's hit the pedal to the metal. Thanks.
That's a great quote at the end, and perfectly timed.
Yes.
All right,
Couldn't be
hey
more
guys,
perfect.
coders, you're kind of cool guys, huh?
Thanks.
That's good. And I was happy with this startup. Have you noticed that they've been really thinking through the whole process, not just coding, but also the market? I think that's smart. That's a smart way to do. So I'm very curious, this Cashplannr, what your questions are. Please, presidents of the jury.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Kurt. I'll switch the order around this time and first ask our digitally present jury members for their remarks or questions. I know some of them certainly have an interest in this domain. So who's willing to bite the first bullet and ask the first question? Yes, Jeroen? Go ahead.
Thanks a lot. What I like about the team is that, as in your introduction, is that you have the business guy, and in your own words, the business guy and the product guy. And I think it's great to have this combination on board. Me myself, I have a background in auditing and in accounting, so I'm a little bit familiar with it, but it was years ago. Sorry. What I see now is that it looks like a crowded landscape. Also in your competitor slide, and what we see, especially with startups or with young companies, is that they are searching for free tools like the LTSE startup cash planning tool, which works brilliantly. And I was missing that in the slide. So I'm curious, is the competition there also with the exact onlines and etc., who are always trying to incorporate things, or is that the potential exit, or how do you see that? Because for me, that's the most worrying thing, the crowded landscape.
Mm-hmm. So if I understand your question correctly, it is about, are you competing with, for example, Exact Online, or are you integrating with them? Is that the question?
Yeah, or are you competing with them, or are you
No, we're not.
for them, or
Yeah.
no?
We're not competing with them at all. So what Exact Online does is feeding our solution. We are getting our data partly from Exact Online, or Yuki for the matter. We are enriching it. We are enriching forecasted transactions with these data. So Exact Online is one of our sources, for example. Is that an answer to your question?
Yes, yes.
And also the first part of your question, people like to have free tools, especially entrepreneurs, to do their cash flow forecast or cash planning. But we're thinking to connect with the bank directly by next year, and we're exploring the possibilities to have a basic version for the smaller management, how do you call it, management companies that want to use it firsthand without the connection with the accounting software. So we're exploring the possibilities to make it as low threshold as possible to get a big audience.
Yeah, maybe even a free version.
Yeah.
Just, we're considering the pivots.
All right. Anybody else? Yeah, Jürgen?
Yeah, thanks, guys, for the presentation. Well, I know the field a bit because of Silverfin and Bright Analytics, and what I've seen is that when you look at these companies, they've started from the accounting and reporting part, which today they have a decent install base. And for them, the jump towards cash flow projection, which is important, is a necessity, and it's also something they will do because you first need, as you said, you need to integrate and get your data from somewhere. So either you integrate with your ERP system, or you integrate with a system that also integrates with the ERP system that sits on top of that, and it's a bit easier then to just do this jump to cash flow statements. They haven't done it yet because cash flow is important, but well, the core of the reporting and the accounting was more important. So how are you going to compete with these guys when they come up with in the market with a simple solution integrated with Silverfin and Bright Analytics on cash flow? So that's question number one. And question number two, on your slide, unless I didn't see it, you didn't mention Cashforce, which is a bigger player in Belgium in cash flow management. They're a bit higher up in the sense that they work for larger companies, but they also, as I know, plan to go lower in the stack and start building stuff for PMEs. So in other words, you'll get heavy competition on one hand from guys who have this reporting and who will integrate cash flow on it, and on the other hand, from a player that's already in that field that will come down in the Belgian market. So I'm just wondering, I mean, how are you going to tackle this? Because it's not an easy job to do.
Okay.
No, it is not easy at all. We know. We have close relationships with our competitors. We're talking with them as well to see what their plans are. And as we see, and when we're talking to our target audience, they're not willing to pay a lot of money for a very broad tool such as Hemisphere or Bright Analytics, which is quite broad, and what they want is only something that gives them insights of what is coming at them and what will be the impact of their decisions right now. So we feel that that's the urgency for them, and they don't need everything around it. Besides that, we're in conversations with Silverfin as well to talk about, like, yeah, why don't you guys do this? Because it's very complementary with your systems. And they said, like, we're not going to do this. We're thinking about it, or we thought about it, but we are focusing on scaling the product and make it international. And we're not going to add the future to our the future insights to our current system.
What about Cashforce?
Cashforce, I think we can't compare with Cashforce. Cashforce is way higher up. They target very big enterprises. When they're coming down to smaller SMBs, yes, that's insights that we didn't know. That could be competition. But let's be first.
And also, if you have Cashplannr and you have already the Cashplannr tool for SMEs, why reinvent the wheel?
Jürgen? Oh,
we can't hear you.
Can you do it again? No, we lost the sound. The challenges of digital.
Jürgen, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
they
just,
don't
just
seem to hear you.
Okay.
there's a couple of examples of companies that you mentioned and said, well, we're looking at guys who only want cash flow projections, and that will be probably small companies when they start. But what you see is small companies become bigger. And so once they become bigger, then they need more stuff. They will need accounting, they will need reporting, and then they quickly move to some other package. And so there's examples of companies that are really very good in that first segment, but then they can't grow out of it because the competitors they have in this bigger segment are really competitors. So companies move, and so the churn they have is pretty high after a few years. So you have to do a lot of investment to get the customer. And once the customer starts really generating cash for you, you actually lose them because, well, it's natural. They become bigger, they need other tools, and they move out of your solution. So how are you going to cope with that? Because that I see as a real challenge if you only focus on that on these guys who want a cash flow solution at first.
Yeah. Can I take it?
Yeah.
All right. So that's a very good question, and we had this question multiple times from other investors. We're willing to grow with our customers. We're actually testing right now what we need to adjust the product, of what we need to add to our product to actually fulfill the needs of mid-market segment as well. So we're talking with them, we're listening to them, but currently we don't have the features to actually provide that yet, but we're willing to pivot where needed to actually scale with our customers so that we don't lose them after a while. But we do want to keep it as simple as possible with the mindset of a little startup or a mindset of a little SMB, also to mid-market. So a very easy to use cash flow forecasting solution, or even broader, it's possible. We're happy to pivot, but that's the main mindset that we want to maintain.
All right.
If that answers your question.
Thank you, Jürgen.
Perfect.
Anybody else remotely? Frank?
Yes. So, Thomas, Dylan, some piece of advice: never start pitching by stating you're not, you don't have enough or sufficient end user knowledge. If you want that, make that claim in order to explain that it's very straightforward and it's not as complex as it seems to be, and your product assists in that. I think you have a perfect pitch, but please add these things to it and don't be too modest. Having said that, and also related to the remarks Jürgen made, I also see some conflicts in ICP. There is a tendency they will outgrow you, so you have to a certain state you have churn by nature. Another issue besides product market fit ICP is, if we talk about international expansion, how do you cope with different fiscal frameworks?
Mm-hmm.
Is that already in your product?
Yeah, I get the question.
International.
We just created a solution for that, because last week we onboarded a Dutch accountant on the system. And the Dutch system is totally different of the Belgian. Even more, there is no system in the Netherlands. So we fixed it, and we made it possible for Dutch accountants to join Cashplannr and to customize everything for their clients. So as such, the different fiscal systems are not really an issue for us today.
Okay, I suggest we basically hand it over maybe to the local audience, see if there's any other questions here. Erik?
Thank you, Dylan Thomas. Quick question, if I may. You mentioned a couple of times plug and play, really easy to work with, almost zero touch, which is, I think, especially relevant if you're targeting the lower end of SMB, because there's basically no IT available. But is it realistic? Does it really scale automatically? Is it pure play SaaS only, or does it still require manual intervention?
It asks for manual intervention when you want to take certain decisions and simulate the impact of these decisions. But to start with, it is really plug and play. We are able to make it plug and play, at least at the moment, for the Belgian market. As long as there's not, and I'm a bit taking a side leap right now, as long as there in the Netherlands not a real system, there's some touch necessary from the accountants, for example. But in Belgium, it's plug and play, meaning if you look at a cash forecast Excel, where you have to fill in all the numbers and check your bank account and check your accountancy system, what has changed and such, all these things are done by us automatically, without intervention from us. This is possible. So the user, the entrepreneur, can immediately start off from a filled cash forecast.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
I have a quick question. Could you share us more from your experience of 32 customers? What about the sales cycle, the implementation time? That's the first question. Second question, I don't think you really mentioned the business model. How much does it cost, and what would be your customer acquisition cost as well?
So the first part of your question, sorry, was?
Implementation time and sales cycle.
Yeah, all right. So at this point, it is too long. We're discovering how it works, how we want to approach them. We're still listening to them. So now we have an approach to like a more enterprise approach, which is like a discovery call. We identify if there is a match, then we go to a demo, we give them a small demo of 15 to 20 minutes, and then they actually decide whether or not they want to use it. If they want to use it, we set up a kickoff meeting to actually guide them through the platform with their data already plugged, and then actually make some simulations together to actually see what the value is, and then they are ready to go. So it's too long for this moment, but it's very, very necessary for us to get that feedback immediately to actually evolve the product. And that's why we want to scale to a more self-service approach where they actually can do it themselves, where there is an automatic onboarding flow so that they can do it themselves. And if they have any questions, they can go to the knowledge base or even question the questions in the chat in the platform. So it's too long, but we want to resize that. From the customer acquisition cost, that's also a good question.
At the moment, you have to count like 700 euros for the customer acquisition cost. With a lifetime value, we think of 3,000 to 4,000 euros for the smallest users.
Okay. All right.
And how much would cost them your monthly fee?
We have a yearly license price of, for the smallest customers, 1,200 euros per year. I'm sorry, 600 euros per year for the smallest, and 3,000 for the biggest users. But the pricing is still a big question mark for us. Right now, we are pricing based on revenue, and we feel it's not the best choice or not the best method. We just haven't figured out yet what the best pricing method is. But right now, it works for us. It works for our clients as well.
Mm-hmm. We started off with a fixed price. Yeah. But that didn't work out for the bigger SMBs, and then the startups, they were laughing at us, and the other ones were in panic of the price, so that's why we made the tiers. But we're thinking about pivoting as well in the pricing to add more modules, etc.
Yeah, we also feel there's room for more. If we pitch our price to a smallest user, they say, oh, that's pretty nice. So we feel there's room for more, for upselling.
All right, one more question maybe from Joel, you were right? Michel?
We invest in very early stage companies, and we only see Excel. The other competitors, I've never seen them before. So my question is this: the entrepreneurs that we work with, they struggle to reconcile three things: the business plan or the budget, the forecast, and the actuals. And for us investors, those are the KPIs we want to keep an eye on. And so my simple question is, if I'm a very young company, very, very early on, can I use your product to reconcile those things, even though I don't have yet the machinery, that the other applications that you mentioned in your pitch? In other words, at what time do you think it's the proper time to engage with a product like yours? And is it already the right thing to do when you are a very early stage company?
I think I will start with the answer, and then you begin.
Go.
Eat your own dog food. We use Cashplannr ourselves, and we are a very young company. But I think our ideal customer profile is not the startup of 2 or 3 people. I think the ideal customer profile is more like the SMB with 30 to 40 employees, making 3 to 4, 5 million euros in revenue. I think that's our ideal customer profile.
But we do want to promote startups, and we do want to add value to them as well. Or help them. We give them an overview of their real runway, their real-time runway, burn rates, ARR, MRR. Those are all things that we can actually show them. So it's already in use by a couple of startups, and we still want to do that. So maybe in the future, who knows, will it be free for startups to actually promote startups or help startups better? But it's actually also very valuable for them.
Okay, thank you very much. I know at least one happy customer, so thanks for your pitch.
Thank you.
Which is good. 32 customers. It's growing, yeah? It's good.
It's growing.
Were you happy with the questions?
Yes.
Yeah, the thing is, in every pitch, when we get questions, we learn so much. It's so valuable, so thank you.
Yeah, okay. You know what the most important question is?
Tell me.
It's about the hands.
Right, so once again, anybody in this jury who's interested in continuing the discussion with this team, please raise your hand. Also remotely. Huh? There's another. Interested? Yeah?
One.
Okay.
We have one.
So.
All right. Okay, so remind that one, a very important one.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.